I'm Margaret. I'm 83 years old. And last Thanksgiving, I set a table for 8 people, knowing, somewhere deep down, that most of those chairs would stay empty. You don't think about loneliness like that when you're younger. You imagine it as something loud, something obvious. But it isn't. It's quiet. It's subtle. It's a table set too big for the life you actually have. That afternoon, the house smelled like roasted turkey, cinnamon, and something else I couldn't quite name. Hope, maybe, or denial. My sister Jean drove 4 hours to be there. 4 hours at her age isn't nothing. She walked in with a pie she didn't need to bring and a smile that tried a little too hard. My daughter Susan called around noon, said traffic was bad, might not make it. My son Michael sent a turkey emoji. That was it. I kept checking my phone anyway. Not obviously, just small glances, little movements, the kind you think no one notices. But Jean noticed. She always notices. She reached across the table, touched my hand, and said, "They're busy, Maggie. They love you." And I smiled, because that's what you do when someone is trying to protect you from something you already understand. But here's the truth I didn't tell her. I had spent 3 days cooking food no one asked for. Not because I enjoy cooking that much anymore. My back doesn't love it. My hands get stiff. I forget things halfway through. I did it because I thought if I made everything perfect enough, they'd want to come. That's the part no one tells you about getting older. You start trying to earn things that should already be yours. That night, after Jean left, I stood at the sink scraping untouched sweet potato casserole into the trash. The spoon made that dull, hollow sound against the dish, over and over. And I remember thinking, very clearly, when did I become someone my own children avoid? The house was so quiet I could hear the refrigerator humming. I raised 5 children in that house. 5. There was a time when silence like that would have been impossible. I showed up to everything, school plays, parent meetings, soccer games in the rain, recitals where they played the wrong notes and looked for me anyway. I packed lunches for 18 years straight. 18. Sandwiches cut diagonally because that's how they liked them. I answered phone calls at 2 in the morning when they were teenagers doing things they shouldn't have been doing, needing someone who wouldn't ask too many questions. I thought we were close, or at least close enough, but somewhere between their childhood and my old age, I became optional, not unwanted, not unloved, just not necessary. And that's a different kind of pain. One that doesn't have a clear moment where it begins. It just slowly becomes your reality. At first, I told myself it was temporary. They had jobs, children, mortgages, responsibilities. I understood all of that. I wasn't one of those mothers who expected daily phone calls or constant attention. I just wanted something. Anything that felt like I still existed in the shape of their lives. So I did what everyone tells you to do. I reached out. I called on Sundays, sometimes Tuesdays, occasionally just because I missed them. I'd ask how they were. They'd say, "Fine." I'd ask about the grandkids. "School's good. Soccer's fine." "Yeah, they're good." Conversations that felt like they were checking a box. I told myself that was enough, that this is just what adult relationships look like. Efficient, practical, a little distant. But pretending it was enough started to hurt more than admitting it wasn't. Most of my calls went to voicemail, and when they did answer, I could hear it immediately. Dishes clinking in the background. Car engines, keyboard typing. I wasn't the main event. I was something squeezed in between everything else. So I started talking faster, shorter conversations, less of me. I'd hang up and feel smaller than when I dialed. Then I tried being useful. That's what mothers do, right? We help. We give. We make ourselves valuable. I sent birthday cards with checks inside, little gifts for the grandkids, a toy truck, a book, hair ribbons I thought were pretty. I imagined them opening those packages, smiling, maybe thinking of me for a moment, maybe even mentioning it the next time we spoke. But the thank yous came late, or not at all, and I started wondering if the boxes were even opened, or if they just sat somewhere near the door, part of a pile no one got around to. I offered to babysit once. My daughter Patty said, "Oh, Mom, that's sweet, but you don't need to do that. You don't need to do that." Like I was volunteering out of obligation. Like I didn't want it. Like spending time with my grandchildren was some kind of chore I had assigned myself. One Saturday, I drove an hour to my son David's house. I made lasagna from scratch, the kind that takes time, layers, care. I called him when I was close and said I was in the neighborhood. That part was a lie. I just wanted to see him. He opened the door, surprised, took the dish, thanked me, then said they were just heading out. I stood on that porch for maybe 90 seconds. 90 seconds. He hugged me the way you hug someone at a funeral. Polite, distant, already halfway gone. I cried the whole drive home. And the worst part wasn't even the rejection. It was how embarrassed I felt for trying. But I kept going. Because what else do? You don't just stop being a mother. I planned a family dinner, 3 weeks' notice. "I'll cook everything," I said. "Just come." Susan said maybe. Michael said he'd try. Linda said she had plans but would let me know. The day came. I made a roast, set the table, used the good napkins, the ones I had been saving for something special. I waited. Susan called at 5, said her son had something. Michael didn't call at all. Linda showed up late, stayed 20 minutes, spent most of it on her phone. I packed leftovers into containers no one asked for, washed dishes alone, and for the first time, I didn't feel sad. I felt tired, deep in my bones tired, because I realized something I hadn't wanted to admit. I'd been working so hard to stay in their lives that I had made myself invisible. I was always there, always calling, always forgiving, always available. They never had to wonder about me, because I never gave them the chance to. I did all the reaching, all the reminding, and somewhere along the way I taught them that they didn't have to do anything at all. And then I resented them for learning that lesson. One afternoon, I was sitting at the kitchen table eating a sandwich. Nothing special, just turkey and lettuce. And I had this strange thought. I have eaten thousands of meals alone in this house, thousands, and not one of my children knows that. They think I'm fine. They think I'm busy. They think I have a full life that doesn't need 'em. And I let 'em believe that, because admitting I was lonely felt like admitting I had failed. Then something small happened, the kind of thing you almost miss if you're not paying attention. I started walking a little girl home from school. Emma, my neighbor's daughter, 8 years old, full of stories. One day we stopped at the corner like we always did, and she was telling me about a drawing she made, something about a purple dinosaur. And in the middle of her sentence, she reached over and held my hand, just like that. No reason, no occasion. She just wanted to. and we walked the rest of the way like that, her small hand in mine. And something clicked. She wasn't with me out of obligation. She wasn't squeezing me into her day. She chose to be there. Not because I asked, not because I needed, but because I was there, without expectation. Her mother started stopping by more after that. Simple things. Do you need anything from the store? Can Emma sit with you for a bit? Want some company while I fold laundry? Nothing big, nothing planned, but it was real. I didn't have to perform, didn't have to cook a feast, didn't have to pretend I wasn't lonely. I could just be, and they stayed. Not because I earned it, but because there was space for them. And that's when I understood something that changed everything. I'd been trying so hard to hold on that I never gave anyone room to come closer. So I did something people will tell you not to do. I stopped calling my children, not out of anger, not to punish them, not as some kind of game. I just stopped. No more Sunday calls, no more just checking in texts, no more gifts, invitations, reminders. I let the phone sit silent, and I waited. At first, nothing. Weeks went by, nothing, and it hurt more than I expected, because it confirmed what I feared, that without my effort, there might be nothing there. I would sit in the living room at night, staring at my phone, willing it to ring. It didn't, and I almost gave in, almost picked it up, almost went back to being the one who tried. But I didn't. I stayed still. And about 6 weeks later, Linda called. "Mom, I haven't heard from you. Are you okay?" I said I was fine. She paused. Then she said, "Can I come by this weekend? I want to see you." I said yes. She came, stayed 3 hours, and something was different. She looked at me, like she was seeing me, not as Mom, but as a person. Michael texted a week later, asked if he could bring the kids. Susan called, wanted to take me to lunch. David came by and fixed my porch railing without me asking. They started showing up, not perfectly, not all the time, but more and lighter, like they wanted to be there, not like they had to be. And here's the part that matters most. I started feeling less lonely, even before they came back, because I stopped waiting for them to fix it. I built a life that didn't depend on their attention. Walks with Emma, coffee with her mother, quiet evenings that belonged to me, books, birds, myself. I stopped measuring my worth by how often my phone rang, and that made me someone they wanted to be around again. Some of them are closer now. Some still keep their distance, and I've made peace with that because I'm not trying to collect them anymore. I'm not trying to prove I matter. I just am. I spent decades being Mom, and I'm proud of that. But I forgot I was also Margaret, a woman who takes up space, who has preferences, who doesn't have to shrink herself to be loved. My children love me. I know that. But love isn't attention, and attention isn't presence. And for a long time, I confused all three. Now I understand something simple. You can't make someone want to see you, but you can stop making it so easy for them not to. Not out of cruelty, out of self-respect. Because the people who truly love you, they'll notice when you're gone. They'll feel the space you leave behind. And if you're lucky, they'll come looking. Not because you asked, but because they finally understand what it means when you're not there. I'm still here, still whole, still worth visiting, whether they show up or not. And that is enough.